Public sector modernized and unleashed. The strategic and AWS partnership in action. Hi, everybody. My name's Jon Myer from Myer Media, and joining us today is Kathy Mills, the president and CEO, and Chris Mills, the chief revenue officer at Your Strategic. Kathy, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Glad to be here, John.
Yes, Chris, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
Today, we're actually talking about obviously public sector modernized and the partnership with AWS, Your Strategic, public sector, and everything. What is the history of Strategic, Kathy?
Well, Strategic, the inception was in 1992, and we actually started in the cabling business and then transitioned into voice and then voice over IP. Then we moved into a value-added reseller selling IT products to the federal government. And as we saw the landscape changing with cloud, in 2013, we entered into the cloud field.
Why public sector? That's not an easy place to be. It's right. That's like,
Well, initially, I had applied for an 8A certification, and an 8A certification is a minority certification with the federal government. It helps you, small businesses, get in the door with federal agencies, and there are certain contracts that are set aside for 8A companies. So I pursued an 8A certification. I was awarded an 8A certification. And then when Chris joined the team, we pursued a big, what's called GWAC, government-wide acquisition vehicle or contract, and we won it. It was SPAWARS, a $500 million contract. We were one of like five small businesses, and that's what jump-started us into the federal sector.
Kathy, I want to really ask you this question, but Chris actually has a different perspective. How has Strategic changed over the 30 years here? How has it evolved?
It's evolved in a lot of different ways. First and foremost, what hasn't evolved is our culture, right? Our culture has always been a family culture where if you're a team member, you're family, right? And I would hope that everybody that's on our team would agree with that we continue to support them. But from a technology perspective, it's involved quite a bit, right? One thing about a small business is we have the ability to be very flexible. So when we see things changing, right, we're able to adapt pretty quickly. So initially when we were in the cabling, right, and we had customers that wanted we saw that voice was picking up. We immediately aligned ourselves with partners that could support voice internally and externally. Internally through circuits, externally through the equipment. Then we saw where computers were networking was changing, right? Becoming faster, a lot quicker. The laptops, the desktops were more powerful. And from there, we set a plan where we believe this is where we're going to be in the next 2 years, where the industry is. We work with our partners, our OEMs, sat with them on where we saw it was headed. They obviously gave us input as to what they were doing, how they were changing, and then we just, evolved with them, in lockstep.
Chris, it sounds like Strategic has adapted to change and moving with the times and seeing what's next and using your expertise to go to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy thinking back. Our first cloud contract that we ever had and with AWS, right, was U.S. Patent and Technology Office, going back to almost 12 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what we were getting into. The cloud was so new. So we had to adapt, right? We went from the networking, like you said, the cabling, the infrastructure to the data center. And it was like, what's next? What are the customers asking for next? And it's the same thing that we're seeing today with AI, right? The unknown. There's so many things out there and so many use cases, and people are just now really discovering the possibilities that can be, the outcomes that can be made out of AI. And I think when we were dabbling into cloud and AWS being that first big, they were the first movers into that space of really the hyperscalers, right? Those CSPs that were, driving huge demand. And so we decided to partner with them, with U.S. Patent and Technology Office. And that's really what kicked off the relationship to where we're at today and why we're here at AWS reInvent and really celebrating with them the success that we've had, because they're an awesome partner to us, but also we're using the foundation that they've laid for us from an infrastructure to build with partners to better help solve the missions of our customers. And I think that's why we're here today, and that's why we got into the public sector, was looking at it a little bit different. And really we'd been servicing just enterprise in the past, but the opportunity for us to go support federal and state and local missions, I think is really what drives our culture today, and really the why of strategic and what we're doing.
Well, and a lot of it, as Chris has mentioned, at first it was like compute, right? And that's what what we were delivering to the customer. But then as technology evolved, ISVs, we're creating, platforms, applications that solved mission critical problems for state agencies. And it just, we saw how AI, right, could just change and transform and solve critical business challenges like in public safety, in healthcare, in unemployment. I mean, the sky's the limit. It truly is.
Now, we are here at AWS reInvent. One of the biggest things that AWS kind of dives into is partnership, but also on the strategic side, partnership is valuable. In commercial, everybody has a partnership, whatever it is, but in public sector, it's even more important that partnership, the values that you kind of ingrain into each other, that you trust in it. Kathy, what does partnership really mean to you?
Well, when I look at a partnership, I don't look at it in the traditional sense when they say, well, you partners have a common goal and they have a common theme. And, it's much deeper than that for me and for the partners that we have aligned ourselves with. It's like a relationship, a personal relationship. You mentioned trust. There has to be trust there, right? There has to be loyalty there. There has to be a commitment there and a commitment to the same vision. And we're not here just selling things, right? And if we are, you're here for the wrong reasons. We're partnered with the wrong partner. We're here to solve business challenges that's going to affect the community. And so our partnership to me is that, it's trust, it's loyalty, it's commitment, it's having a shared vision. What is the mission? What is your mission? What do you want to accomplish at the end of the day and be proud of?
Chris, one of the things when I look at a partnership, right? Partners, I want to say some have broken that, right? You got a partnership and they're only out for one goal, is to make some money, and they made some and they're out, whatever it is. And I think they've kind of put a little bit of a bad mark on it where the trust isn't there. How do you really gain that trust back and really grow that partnership, not only with AWS, but with others?
Yeah, I think it really starts with, one of our, in our mission statement, it's transparency. Really being transparent with our partners, our customers. I think that comes first, right? Because that's how you're going to gain that trust with them and gain it back. And so, we look at, like she said, it's relationships, right? It's a two-way street for a partnership. It's not a let me take, take, take. It's a give and take. And that's the partners that we want to bring on. Those are the ones we want to take to market. And, in public sector, right? And that's taking partners that have never done any business in the public sector, but they have an awesome use case. We want to help them go to the public sector. And that's really our mission, because we see there's a viable product there. And I think sometimes that's lost. But that's what we're doing as a small woman-owned business, and really trying to make an impact there, where we can bring new partners in there, new solutions, new ways of thinking about it, that and solving challenges that maybe not had been thought about yet, because we want to continue, pushing the limits. And the only way that we're going to continue to grow and be successful is through our partnerships. And those are really the key. And in 2024, that was really the foundation of our growth, was really around developing a partner program, partner first strategy, and being able to drive bigger outcomes than what we could do on our own. And I think that's really what you're going to see in 2025. That's going to get us to that next level of where strategic's going to be, is through our partners and our relationships with AWS and others that you'll hear from, like Rackspace, that are really key to that growth and scale. Because what we're looking to do in this next year, there's going to be a lot of bodies that's going to need to be there to make it happen, and the partnerships have to be real, and that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, and to add on to what Chris is saying, if we have a partner that for whatever reason, the relationship has been tainted in any way, right? And how do we restore that relationship? We first look at where did the relationship break down? Was it an individual? Did it come from the top? Because if it's from the top, it's harder to correct, right, and get back in alignment. Like any relationship, right? You try to work it out. If it is in the middle, then you go to the top, you work it out, and you start seeing the changes. Because when we begin a relationship with a partner, we both have a lot of skin in the game. We don't want to just dissolve it over one incident that may occur. So we treat it like any relationship. We look at how we can resolve it, and if we can, we will. Meaning, if it's not at the top, trickling down. If it is in the middle, then we know that there's hope, right, for restoration.
Kathy, the trust that you have in a company and not looking from the top, if an executive does something that's a little bit harder, but an individual will make mistakes and you trying to rebuild that trust, fix it, is very admirable for a company, right? You know that it's going to happen. That is a differentiator to me. Most would write that company off. They'd be done. Okay. What are some other differentiators out there that sets you apart from other competitors?
Well, I believe one of our differentiators is we truly approach the customer with a trusted partner attitude. And I know that's a buzzword out there, but we truly live and breathe it. We want to know, what their vision is. We want to know what their mission is from that vision, and we align ourselves, our team, and our partners with their mission. And I think a lot of our, peers, right, that they go in and the mentality is more, it's more about selling. It's not about solving business issues. And once we're in the door and we're with the executives and we're with the third tier, because we approach all, because everybody has to be part of the mission, right? Everyone can clearly see that we're in it with them, that we are an extension of their agency, and to use us as an extension of their agency. Use the resources we have. We have resources that you don't have, that it's going to take you years to build, right? Use our knowledge to get your mission accomplished. And I think that's a differentiator, that we're able to really show them that we're more than just a partner. We're aligned at the hip with them.
Kathy, it sounds like you're saying lean on us.
Yes, that's
use
my
our
exact
knowledge.
words I say.
Use
Yes.
our
Yes.
knowledge for it. Our value will help you. Why reinvent the wheel? Right.
Yeah.
And that's the value of it. I like that. If you want your customers, if you could pick 3 words for your customers to say something about you, and I'm sorry, you have to limit it to 3. So what would they be? What do you want your customers immediately to say?
Well, I want them to say that we're innovative, right? And I would want them to say that we're trustworthy, right? And that we're resilient, and resilient in the fact that there's nothing that's going to stop us. You can keep, we can get knocked down, but we're going to get back up and we're going to make sure that the mission is accomplished.
Chris, if I could give you the same question, what are 3 words, not only your partners or your customers, that you want them to say about you that would ultimately, speak volume?
Yeah, I think it's hard to sum it up in 3 words, right? But
You only have 3, so
the only 3, right? But
okay,
I think
3 phrases. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
I think one is agility, right? And I think that's really where we excel. That agility, that speed to market. That other competitors, they don't have that. And us being a small business, being able, the CEO, Kathy, being the top, we can get direct access to those answers. So I really think that's a key. And then also too, I think it's comes down to being a good steward, right? And understanding, like she said, the customer's needs, but then also not just pushing a product, right? Understanding that, but then lying out the budgets, because that's so important for us, right? These are tax dollars that use, so we want to make sure it's good use and that it solves the actual, what they're trying to accomplish. And then I think the last one is, mission outcome focused, and that's really where, like she's saying, that mission, understanding the why of the customer, not just trying to throw a product at it or a solution, but really meet with them, assess, evaluate, and then bring to bear the right partners. And that's what I think our position as a systems integrator, the ability that we don't have to just sell one product, right? We can bring the product that's best for the customer. We've already vetted it. We've already got it down to the 2 or 3, so they don't have to waste cycles doing that. But we're really able to bring to them and say, hey, these are the best of breed. Now let's go evaluate and figure out which one's going to be best for you. And I think that's where that's a differentiator for us. So that focus around the mission outcome, I think, is a key point for strategic and where we excel.
Kathy, where do you see strategic in the next 3 years?
That's a good question. I see us as being known as the number one company to go to for justice and public safety cloud solutions. And we are really investing a lot of money in that area, right? Resources in that area. Because before I leave this world, right, I want to leave it knowing that that strategic attributed to changing lives, for protecting people, providing a better experience at a movie theater, at a restaurant, just keeping emotions down, well-being, because all that impacts us, right? And that we can look back and say that we made a difference. I mean, we truly did. So that's where I see us in 3 years, that when you think justice and public safety solutions, where do I go for this? That someone says strategic communications.
Kathy, you just mentioned the JPS Roadshow, and I got to hand it off to Chris because I had the opportunity to come out to Orange County with you guys as part of the JPS Roadshow. I want to share with the audience what it is about, and what you guys are accomplishing, because it was an honor. It was my first time actually doing it for the Sheriff Technology Center. Can you just tell us a little bit, what are you guys trying to accomplish with it?
Yeah, well, in 2025, justice and public safety is one of our key areas of investment. We see such an opportunity there. We feel that it's underserved, right? So whether you're talking law enforcement, like we were in front of Orange County, or you're talking courts, corrections, we really feel that there's a need there for a systems integrator like Strategic to come in to help really consult, to help them along in this technology journey, because there's so many changes that are going on, like we mentioned, with AI, with cloud, with modernization, digital transformation, all the buzzwords, right? And I think law enforcement, they're the ones kind of they're left in the dust, right? They're left in the back. They're the second thought, and I think that's where really our mission is to really put new technology solutions in front of them that will help impacting the community, but then also making our law enforcement individuals, protecting them, right? And I think that's what we're trying to do with these partnerships that we've created with the Roadshow, right? Bringing those software vendors that have these life-saving, in a sense, solutions that we can bring to them, because they might not know about them, but it fits a need, because we're seeing that there's sometimes a lack of communication between what each law enforcement agency is doing. And we're trying to, I guess, open up the door for them to see, hey, this is what they're doing over there, and this is what's been successful. Maybe this can be successful for you. It's not a one size fits all, but it's definitely something that what we're trying to do is bundle those solutions together to bring to the customer a bigger, I guess, solution in the end, a bigger outcome than dealing with just one company. And I think that's the impact we can do. And it's really a mission, because like what Kathy said, at the end of the day, leaving this world better, right? How can we do that? And within public sector, there's nowhere else that we see, more than impacting justice and public safety.
Yeah, and just, as Chris had mentioned there, for example, in law enforcement specifically, law enforcement, it's very important to the community. It's necessary, right? And we have to protect our law enforcement, our police officers, our firemen. They're in public safety also. And a lot of the solutions that we have, they offer that protection, from hiring to onboarding to well-being. And I think that, once the law enforcement agencies are able to incorporate these solutions into their agency, right, there's going to be more, I think, cohesiveness maybe in law enforcement. And I also think it'll be impactful for mental health for law enforcement.
I agree with you. My last question as we wrap it up. What do you see, or how do you see the public sector actually shaping within IT? What are some of the emerging trends that are happening?
Well, currently it's AI, right? I'm seeing a lot of AI adaptability in public sector. I mean, it's like 5%, right, of 100%. I see where it's going to go more when it becomes more comfortable, safer, right? Where you have those guidelines. It's almost like when cloud came out, 2006, everybody was afraid of it. Oh, it's not safe. I think you're going to see more of that,
I,
more generative AI.
yep, I agree with you. Kathy, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I loved it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm glad you did. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everybody, this has been the Jon Myer Podcast, powered by Myer Media. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify, because guess what? We're out of here.